It's Tutorial Thursday. So tonight we are going to be learning how to resin, how to do first coats, how to do second coats, and I'm going to do a couple of things on some tumblers so you can see how to apply resin to that as well. Welcome to everyone who is in the live tonight. And we'll give everybody time to get here. Okay. Just when you think you have everything ready and you find something else you didn't do. Hi guys. Hey Vic. Patricia and Darnell and Doris and Shelly and Christy. Are we excited about resin tonight? I'm kind of excited to get this lesson underway and off the books. We probably won't have Brian tonight because he's having some printer issues. Alright, we'll wait one more minute and then we'll get started. I already prepped this canvas. I already put the alcohol on it. It's ready for its first coat, but we're going to do it a step farther before we put any resin on it. I probably should bring you guys down just a little bit. No, other way. I got a little bit of a lag, so I have to wait for my camera to catch up with the screen. There we go. Alright, we're over the 10 mark. We're good. So I'm going to put some gloves on before I touch that. I'm actually grabbing a handful because I go through a lot of gloves when I'm doing resin. Welcome, Sarah. Glad this is your first time catching a live. The nice thing about the lives is you can ask questions as we go. I do not have Alan tonight. He's working on a project in the house for me. So I'm watching the screen as best as I can. Okay, so if it's your first time doing a piece, always prep it properly. Because we don't want to have any separation on the lines, on the edges. We don't want divots. And we definitely don't want parts that don't take it all. So that's why I cleaned this with alcohol, because I did see where I had used a little silicone in there. So this painting's been cleaned and ready for resin. So I leave my tape on the back after I've painted it. So then I place a piece of cardboard in there. And once you cut your cardboards for your pieces, save them. Just mark on them what size they go to. That way you have them. So I do tape it just a little bit so it doesn't fall down. But I'm going to be propping this canvas up on cups to push that center of my painting down. Or up, I mean. Because I want my first layer of resin to go over the edges. I do this a lot differently than other people do, but I have no issues with resin. 2 coats, I'm done. There's no 3, 4, 5 to get those edges covered. So I have that in there now, and it's ready to go. But we're going to do something first. So I'm going to set this one aside. We're going to do some prepping for second coat because I am going to second coat this. And we're going to prep 2 of the vases that we poured. Well, one's a candy dish and one's a pen holder, because we're going to do those tonight as well. So I grabbed my little piece of 220 sandpaper. And this has 1 coat on it, but I want another coat. And I did put the cardboard in, so the center, my sides all got covered on the first coat. I don't know if you can see it. And I do have drips, no big deal. I use the heat gun to get them off. So I'm going to go ahead and lightly sand this to give my resin some tooth so that my second coat grabs well. You don't have to do a lot, just lightly sand, but also take your sandpaper just around the edge like this. You don't have to do any circular motion or anything, we're just creating some tooth. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe this off with a damp paper towel. Because I don't have a microfiber rag here. My top just came off my squirt bottle. That was freaky. To get that grit off of there. And you did not ruin your painting when you sand it. Don't freak out and say, oh, what did I do? It will all fix itself with that layer of resin. See, I have a couple little spots there, and that's why I definitely had to sand that to get those 2 spots smoothed down. So we'll set this one aside now too. And I'm going to prep these 2 dishes, and then we'll mix up some resin. Alright, on the candy dishes and on the vases, I use my X-Acto knife, and I take the inside lip off first. Because you want your resin to seal that paint on there. And then take your top off. Not literally take your top off, but peel your top. That didn't sound good either. Okay. So I have all that paint peeled off the top. I'm going to go over once more to make sure I got it all. And you can see I still have a little bits. As long as this top is clean here, we'll be good. Because that's where our resin's going to touch, is on the top. So that'll seal that paint right on the glass. Alright, now on these, you have to take that whole top off. You want that nice and smooth when you put your resin on. You don't want to see your drips. Any questions yet? Or are you being all good students? Alright, we're almost there. Good job there. So it's all nice and clean, and it's ready for resin. And this one we'll be doing on the tumbler as well. You don't really have to clean these, unless for some reason you got silicone in your paint, then you'd have to clean them. So, I have dust here. Get rid of it. So before I do anything now, I'm going to set my spray gun to mist. I'm going to mist from the ceiling down to knock down any dust that's floating around in my resin area. So now it's down. So in the description I have put links for the products that I'm using tonight, and you'll be able to get them there. I have these cups that hold 10 ounces of resin. I have these silicone sticks link. I have the Stone Coat Art Coat link. There's several sizes of Stone Coat you can order. And I think there's one more link there. Okay. Part B is your hardener. That is what I put in my cup first because the resin is so much thicker, and that way it's not sticking to the bottom. So I'm going to mix up 10 ounces because those two paintings are going to take about 7. So I'll do 5 of the hardener. And then 5 of the resin. The other thing I have in there is the respirator. For those of you that may be resining in your home, you definitely want to wear that. And keep your pets and children away from you while you're doing it. Okay. There's my 10. I did say that, Nancy. No getting naked. So now we're going to stir. I like to go about 2.5, 3 minutes. So now if you want to ask any questions, you can ask me now. While I can watch the screen while I stir and time myself. And you should, Victoria, because you get resin in your hair and everything else. So as you're stirring, as it's breaking up, keep scraping your sides, scraping your stick. Make sure you're getting that bottom too. And just keep stirring. You don't have to whip it at all, just stir. What I'm looking for, and you can see it right now, let me put it under the camera here, how cloudy it is. So we want that clear. This is usually when I have my tunes cranked when I'm resining, because you can't watch TV, so you're too busy stirring and looking at what you're doing. So music's good for resining. It gives you a beat to stick to too. Like you can stir to the music or dance to the music while you're stirring. You're okay, Linda. We're just getting started. I'm going to do the vases with the tumbler, because the vases without, you just put them over a cup. And I really don't want to do those tonight because I kind of babysit those through the day and keep wiping the drips off so I don't have any drips. So as you can see, my resin is getting clear. So I'm going to scrape again. So I'm looking for the strands of the resin in the hardener. And I can see a few. So I know I need to keep stirring. I take those drips right off to the rim, yes. Because when I resin this, I'm going to want my resin right on that edge to seal that paint on there. Just the top. Don't go over onto the side of the painted side. Hi, Kathy. Long time no see. one more time with the stick. The nice thing with these silicone sticks, you can just let the resin dry on them and peel it off tomorrow. And you don't have to worry about wood chips from your stir sticks, the wooden stir sticks. Because I've had a few show up in paintings and I had to pick them out. So I switched to the silicone sticks. This is the Stone Coat Art Coat. Actually, this is the Stone Coat Epoxy. This is the countertop epoxy. You can use it on artwork as well as tiles and countertops. It does give a nice hard coat. Okay, I think we're ready. I'm not seeing any strands. I'm going to let you guys look how clear it is. I do have some bubbles, but it's nice and clear. So that's what we're looking for. Okay, I need another paper. Because we're about to get messy. It's messy, messy. I'll get one on my tray where I'll be putting the painting. So, first coat on our painting. Now, before I start anything, I grab my rag, I grab my isopropyl alcohol, and I soak my rag so that I have something to wipe my hands on in between. So I'm cleaning that little bit of resin I had on my fingers off. So now you can watch this painting come to life, because the minute you put resin on it, it's like all brand new wet paint again. So this painting right here will take anywhere between 4 and 5 ounces, because it's a first coat, so you have to do the sides. I do not use a stick to move my resin around. I use my hand, because I want to make sure that everything's covered. So I'm bringing it to the edge. So all my painting is covered now. And now is when I will take it off the side. So I push with my fingers and I scoop to get my sides. So that way I'm not putting a lot of resin over, and I'm keeping it in my hand to scoop it. So now if I was just going to leave this sitting here and let the resin do its thing, my edges would not be covered tomorrow. There will be some, it's all going to puddle to the middle because resin is heavy. Stone Coat is one of the heavier resins because it's so good. I love it. So now that I've got the first coat on, I'm looking to make sure I have no fuzzies. I don't see any. Moving my middle out to the sides. I'm going to wipe my hand. Save your rags, because I'll tell you, you'll use less gloves if you use a rag with alcohol than changing your gloves out. Alright. So now I'm going to torch it. I'm going to stay at least 6 inches above the painting. And when I start my torch, I am not starting my torch over my painting. Because if there's dust in here, it's going to blow it out into your painting. Put it away and then come in. Give it a once over to get the initial bubbles. And let it set for a minute. And this is when you can start looking for fuzzies. I don't see any. Have a skewer ready or a pair of sharp tweezers. I have a bubble here, I think. It's not anything in there. It's just a bubble that's being, it's very deep bubble. It hasn't come to the top yet. Sarah, you can use the Art Coat for coasters. I do have a preference for the countertop for coasters, but either one works. They're both heat resistant. So I have more bubbles. So here we go with the bubbles again. And that spot is still there. So now I'm going to dig at it and see if it's something I need to get out. Nope, it was a bubble in the painting that's above the resin. And this is another reason that sometimes you have to put 2 coats on. So it's not going to go anywhere, but I'll get it with the second coat. Now, when you're taking this painting, I'm going to give it one more torch. Don't put this away for the night, because you still should torch it one more time in about 15 minutes to get the last of the bubbles. But now when I take it over to my rack, I'm going to place it on a cup. And what that's going to do for me, and I'll show you real quick. When I put it up on that cup, it's going to push that middle up, that piece of cardboard that I stuck under there, and it's going to let the resin flow over the sides. You still will have resin in the middle because it's not that big of a difference. Make sure you're using a thick enough piece of cardboard. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a second look. Make sure those are just bubbles. One more torch. And she's gone for the day. I don't have to touch her again until tomorrow. So I'm going to move this to my tray. You don't, if you're planning on doing a second coat, just get the worst of the dusties out if you have them. It's not a permanent thing. You don't have to like be flawless on the first coat, because you will catch it on the second. The second coat is the most important coat. Now, if I was just gonna like keep going, I would not change that paper. But I noticed when I clean that painting, I don't have any tack, so I need to put some tacks in that before I put the second coat on. Because this won't go up on a cup now. It's already had that part done. So now it's just going to sit. KS resin is fine to use, guys. I've used it. Vic's using it. I've been with Stone Coat since I started resining, so, you know, why change? If it works, it's fine. If I was having problems with it and wanted to try something else, I would. I have tried KS resin, but I came back to Stone Coat because I like the thickness of the Stone Coat. Alright, so this is ready. Now I do have my rag here with the alcohol, so I can wipe it real quick in case anything fell on it while it was sitting. I have never tried Counterculture or Let's Resin. I've used Art Coat when I first started out. I've tried Envirotex, which was absolutely horrible. Everything yellowed. Okay, there we go with our resin. Give my hand a quick wipe. In case anything had fuzz on it, because this is my second coat. So all of those scratches that I put in there from sanding are all healed now. Okay, so now I'm going to go over my side. I've already gotten those sides really well on the first coat, so it's just smoothing it out. Seeing if I missed any from the first coat, which I probably didn't because I'm so anal with resin. If anybody owns any of my pieces that are resin, they know I put a lot of effort into that. Okay, so there's my second coat. I'm going to let it set for a second before I start torching it. Larry, I did not ship your paint out either yet. I had to wait for my boxes to come in. So they came today. It'll go out tomorrow. I thought I had some 8x4x4s and I didn't. Alright, so now I'm going to torch. You don't want to dwell in one area too long either because it will thin your resin out. And you can scorch resin, so make sure that you're 6 inches away. I know when you watch Mike Quist, he goes with that big old thing, but that's countertops, that's totally different. This is artwork and you want to treat it like it's your baby. So I see nothing in my resin that I need to pick at, but I'm going to let it set for a minute because bubbles do keep coming up. It all depends, Susan. If it's not too crunchy, I save my rag and use it again. I'll throw it in the washer with my towels. That little bit of resin, cured resin, isn't going to hurt my washer any. Yeah, it's not hard to start resin on fire. Although Stone Coat does not have solvents, and that's why you don't have to wear a mask, but to be on the safe side, I always tell everyone, wear a mask. If I'm doing a bunch of paintings, I wear my respirator. And especially when you're sanding this resin, you should have a mask on. Okay, she looks good. Alright, so I gotta move her. No. I see something. As soon as I got it in the right light. Flashlights work great for this too, to check. Because you want to look across your painting. And I saw a little something here. Might have just been a bubble, but I want to double check it's not a hair. And it was a fuzzy. So I got it out. Thank God. Because I can't handle that. If you miss it, you got to do another coat because you have to sand it. But I try not to have to do that third coat. Okay. So that wasn't so bad, right? First coat, second coat. No fear, right? Nobody's afraid of resin. So now we'll have a little bit of fun. I got my painting today too, Darnell. Yay, I haven't opened it yet. Chris just brought it out. So I'm cleaning up what little bit I can. My tumblers are coming over. I have enough resin to do my bases. My hands are just a tad sticky. Okay. The tumbler that I use is no longer available, but I did put a link in for one that is pretty close to it, that you get some goodies with it. So if you've wiped your hands and you still feel sticky, I buy these disinfects wipes. I don't remember if I got these on Amazon or not. But I also have some other ones that are for paint removal. They work really good to get resin off your hands, but they stink. Okay. Getting it off. I try not to use alcohol to wipe my hands and my skin because it's not good with resin on your skin, but we'll do it today. Okay, let me move this one in. I'll move those jugs out. I want to make sure they're both in frame so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I might have to move it back a little more. Alright, so before I touch those vases, I'm going to glove up because they're ready for resin. Okay. So I squeeze my foam to get it on there and just turn it. You can go up pretty big on the vases. I couldn't do the candy jars on these, but I can do the longer vases. You don't want your foam to stick out. If your foam sticks out, just put a piece of tape here along your outside edge to keep the resin from hitting your foam. Now I gotta plug them in. This is gonna be fun. Yay, they reach. Well, that one does. Don't know if my other one will. We'll see. This is why I don't do resin over here, because I have everything set up at my resin table, but no one would help me move my camera. Oops. Sorry guys, I gotta plug you back in. As soon as I figure out which cord that was. There we go. We have light. Let me see if that's in far enough for that one. Yep. So I gotta shut it off because I like them both going the same way. Because it drives me a little cuckoo. Come on. There it goes. So picky, aren't I? Alright, let me move them back because you can't see. Nope. That's better the way I was. Alright. So I have like a 1 hour working time with this resin, so I have plenty of time to play with it. Okay, first coat. Well, probably the only coat, since this is the countertop epoxy. But I just put a little bit to start and just rub it in first. I'm going to do all of this bottom part first before I do the lip, because I don't want to make a mess. And I need to grab a paper before it starts to drip. Slide some parchment under there so you don't get your turner all resin. Pro tip. Take care of your stuff. It'll last you a lifetime. How's that sound? Maybe the motor will go before anything else. Alright, so the bottom part is pretty much covered. So I just dip my fingers to do the base and just do a circle. If you don't want to do these on a tumbler, just tip them upside down on a cup. Or cover it all with your hands first and then put it on a cup. That works well too. Yep, press and seal works good too. It's a little more expensive than parchment paper though. But if you have it, use it. Don't go out and buy something you don't need to buy. Use what you got. Alright, so I have this all covered up to the top lip. So now I'm going to take it over. So I'm getting that little bit of resin on my finger, and I'm just going to hit that very top edge to get it on. And don't worry if you get sloppy, because utility knife will work for this too. So I'm just getting that on the edge. And you'll know when you get to the other part that's already covered, you'll feel it with your finger. It'll all be smooth. So this is where you can double check. Make sure you're all covered. Some of these tumblers are really strong. They spin a little faster. I like the slower spin for resin. Gets everything a chance to even out. So I'm not going to torch that yet. I'm going to start this one, and then we'll torch them together. Alright. I'm going to do the bottom real quick while my fingers are all in the cup. Okay, so let's put a little bit on. You need about an ounce, if that, to cover this. Because resin, you can stretch it. If you run out of resin and you don't have it quite covered, but you only have a little bit left, get your torch, heat up your resin. It's going to move, it'll liquefy, and you can move it to cover that spot that you're lacking. So I sold 2 of the long boxes from Monday night already. So I redid the last one we did Monday night, and that video will be up on Saturday. So you'll get to see it redone. Alright, I'm going to do my edge. Now this isn't like the candy jar that I have a big wide ledge, so I just need to get that very tip. And I still have resin left over. So I'm going to go grab something to pour it in. Alright, I'm going to take my glove off. If you're really comfortable with resin, you could just use the little finger cuts and not waste your gloves. But I'm too messy. Alright, when you're torching these, you want to be quick and not staying too long because it will heat it up and you will have drips. So it's just little bursts of your torch, just quick passes to get your bubbles. And you will have a few. You can also let your resin sit for 20 minutes before you use it, and that will gas off the bubbles a little bit too. And that's great for when you're doing molds, because you don't want a lot of bubbles in your molds. Okay, that one looks good. They both look good. Alright, and I can feel that I got resin on my torch, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that real quick, because my hand is sticky. I just used some isopropyl alcohol. I hear her barking in there. She must be playing. Still looking at my bases. They still are bubble free. So I'm going to go find a mold and we can dump the rest of that resin in there. We have about 1 ounce. I might have enough for a cigarette lighter case. That mold went to. It's probably on my table. Hiding. Too many molds. Well, gosh, I hate to waste that resin. I don't have anything to pour it on either. Let me look. It's not enough for that. Well, okay, so I have a heart box. I can pour it in there, get something started anyways. Let me grab a little glitter. So I'll just sprinkle some glitter in here. Use a clean stir stick. I'll pull you guys over so you can see what I'm doing. So just a little bit. This mold will probably need more resin, so I'll just wait till I do another batch. But it's not wasted that way. So the thing with these molds too, I'll show you here in a second. It's almost to the top. Bummer. Could have almost filled it. And I don't scrape the cup because you may have residue in there. All right, did I miss any questions? I did. Okay, so 4 vases, you want between 1 and 2 ounces, depending on the size. Rule of thumb is 3 ounces per square foot for 1 layer. If you're doing a painting, you want to go 5 ounces per square foot. But for this stuff, because it's glass and you can heat it and move it, it's not like a painting. You can go super thin on this stuff. You don't need 2 coats on glassware. On tiles, I do 1 ounce per tile, and that still leaves you some left over. So I would say like 3 ounces for 4 tiles. Yeah, and it's definitely trial and error, because sometimes I run short and sometimes I have a ton left, and that's why I buy these little molds. And I have a lot of these in my Amazon shop. Notebooks and little things that you can pour it in. So I'm going to leave that glitter on the top there like that, and then when I put some clear over it, it'll be part of the box. So now we have time for discussion. So if you've got resin questions, please ask them now, because I probably will not do another resin tutorial, because this is just the basics. But we will do projects with resin, but I'm not going to teach the whole resin process during that project. So we have 12 minutes left for questions. And here I was worried I wasn't going to have enough time to do all this. I underestimate myself all the time. I'm too fast. What did I miss with Brian? What if you got big thumbs? What's that mean? You're funny, Brian. Brian said he wasn't going to be here tonight, and I said, don't worry, Brian. We can live without you for an hour. So then I said, hey, you need an excuse, a written excuse from your dad, or it's an illegal absence. Oh, rule of thumb? Okay, Brian. When I say rule of thumb, it's my rule of thumb, not everybody's rule of thumb. So people that watch me, most of you guys have watched me since I started out on YouTube, if you've been here that long. You probably already know everything that I've taught you. You don't even need these classes. How long do I keep these on? Till they're cured. These will be done in the morning. About 12 hours. And then when I take them off, I put them back on a cup that does not touch the lip. and let them cure for 24 hours before I move them. Yeah, that's true, Darnell. He couldn't live without us. Because he thought we'd talk about him, that's why. Yeah, Brian, sit down, shut up. Chee-haw. I do not... it's okay if you leave the cardboard on it, Joy, for the second coat. Just don't prop it up on cups again. Make sure you have your thumbtacks or whatever on the bottom, or your painter stands or whatever. But you don't want to push that middle up on the second coat, because you want that to ease down and fill in so it's all evenly coated. Right, Ellen. And that's why I was saying, if we put the cardboard underneath for the first coat and push that center up. So you want to set it on something higher than the canvas so it pushes that center up. When your resin starts to level, it will go over those sides. So on your second coat, you don't have to prop it up on the cup and just let that resin rest on top of the canvas. It's not normal, Ellen, but some canvas is tough. If you're doing birch boards and stuff, no problem. Your edges are going to be fine. But with canvas, the weight of the resin pushes the center of that canvas down. And that's why I do the prop up on the first coat. Because I'm not wasting resin. I've had paintings when I first started. I think I did 4 coats before I got the edges covered. And I said, this is ridiculous. It just all puddled in the middle. So that's when I started propping it up. A lot of people would probably say to you, oh no, don't do that. Well, I do 2 coats and I'm good and my paintings look perfect. So everybody can do their way. I'll do mine. I do me. That's okay, Ellen. You can rewatch this video and catch that and see how I did that. I do have the DVR mode on too for people that come in late. They can go back and start from the beginning and still see the chat. Yeah, you definitely always want to be level with resin. The best thing that works for propping those canvases up are those big round biscuit cutters or PVC pipes from Home Depot, the little round ones like that. 2, 3, you could do 3. As long as it pushes, keeps that canvas up and not sagging. Yes, Nancy, go put your top back on. We took our tops off. We can put them back on now. We got no resin on our clothes that way. She's funny. I like her. So if you have any more questions, you know how to reach me. Christina Welch Art at yahoo.com. Rewatch this video if you're still scratching your head. Rewatch the video. Also, this video will always be in the playlist, the tutorial playlist, in the group, the Project Posse group, as well as on YouTube. If you go into the playlist section, you'll see Tutorial Thursdays, and all of my tutorials are there. And if you have a, yes, Shelly, thank you. I was just going to say that. If you have a suggestion for Tutorial Thursday, email me, we'll talk, and I'll put it on my schedule. But you guys been great. I don't see a lot of questions. Awesome. So glad that you all paid attention tonight. No questions are dumb. You can see I'm getting bubbles here. I'm not going to torch that though. I'm going to mist that with alcohol when I shut the camera off. It depends what spinner you buy, Larry. The cake spinner that I have in my Amazon shop is a good speed one. If you buy the short plastic one, it's not the greatest. But the one that I have in my Amazon shop is the one that we have 5 of them because we use them for the retreat. So they're all the good spinners. Alright guys, I'm going to let you all go. Early exit today, 5 minutes early. Don't get in any trouble on your way home. But I love you all. And I will see you next Monday on our live. We're still going to play with some more functional art, I think. I've got a bunch of clocks to do. And I think I want to bloom them. So Saturday I have a video for the second bloom box that will be up early Saturday morning. Saturday at 6 is Moose Crazies. Don't forget her live. And Doris is live at 7. And then Brian is up on Sunday. And next week we have our St. Patrick's Day collab. So watch for that too. But good night everyone. Thank you for coming. I love you all. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye now.